Well, what's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and welcome to the next episode of People's Questions, episode 302. I hope you guys don't mind I get myself ready for the playoffs this Sunday, but we got a pretty short episode of questions, and before I get into them, I just want to let you guys know, if there is a question I don't answer on this episode, just be sure to check the comment section for the last episode, because chances are the question was either just too simple that it would just require a very, very short answer, or maybe someone else already answered it perfectly in the comment section, so I would check that. We're going into the first question coming from Black Rabbit of NL, and he wants to know, what video game did I used to hate but now like? Black Rabbit, that's a tough question because in the history of video games, hate is a very powerful word. And there's only 3 games I legitimately hate with a passion. Like, to the point where I would want to cause physical harm to somebody. And that would be DMC, FF13, and MGS5. Now, to hate a game that much, chances are you're not coming back from that. There's just no way. You could not pay me to like those games. So, now I can think of a few games that I'm not a big fan of, but in terms of hate, no. Those 3 games I will probably hate till the day I die, so yeah. Next question comes from Matt Cruz. He wants to know, what has been my least favorite episode of Death Battle? By far, Cloud vs. Link. They missed out on a lot of things. I'm guessing that was just one of those episodes where they just wanted to be a little bit biased. I've seen that a number of times, but other matches, it didn't really bother me that much. I mean, we've had BS matches like, you know, Boba Fett versus Samus, I thought was a little bit too much stacked in Samus' favor. I thought Majin Buu versus Kirby was absolutely ridiculous. But definitely Cloud versus Link was just not a fan of that match at all. Next question comes from Cassidy J. Williams. He wants to know, what is my favorite and least favorite bad movie beatdown episode from Film Brain? You know, that's a tricky question, Cassidy, because having watched his channel for years, he hasn't really reviewed a movie that I liked that he disliked, and vice versa. I can't really think of any movie that he liked or had a positive opinion about that I was against. I mean, most movies that he reviewed in his bad movie beatdown series are generally bad movies, and I wouldn't really argue against them. And there's just there are too many ones. I think the funnier ones are the ones he does that are like collaborations and are pretty entertaining. If I could think of like the funniest one I remember seeing, I think Film Brain was doing a video with Linkara and they were reviewing The Spirit together. I think any video where you can add a level of entertainment and have it feel genuine, I think is a really good start. But yeah, I can't really think of any videos he's done that I didn't agree with or I didn't like. I think he's definitely one of the better film reviewers that I've seen online. Next question comes from Santos Scarpini. You want to know, have I seen the non-CGI Star Wars Clone Wars miniseries? Yes, I have. For those of you that don't know, it was basically like an animated series that came out, I believe, in 2005. It was supposed to be kind of like it led into episode 3. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I think it was a little too short. I mean, it spent a good amount of time focusing on Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, and I think how they handled the whole Battle of Coruscant on the ground section, I thought that was absolutely incredible. I mean, I think my favorite scene from that battle. I don't know who it was. I actually saw that video online and I commented on it. And there was this section where there was this one clone trooper. He was by himself, and like his whole squadron had been wiped out. And he's like on the phone, and he's on his communicator talking, and a droid pops up. It like suddenly he shoots the damn thing, runs out of ammunition, throws the gun down, like, I don't know, he hits the damn thing, he picks up another gun, he's picking up 2 guns, and he's just taking them. I wrote in the comment section, that is the most badass clone trooper in the entire war. Somebody give that man a medal. If you happen to find that video, search for that comment section, because it got a lot of thumbs up. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty damn good series. I just think it's too short. I would have loved it for it to go on longer than it to be like 2 major episodes that I've been able to see it in. But yeah, I absolutely love that series. Next question comes from, and you actually did a good thing by kind of helping me out how to pronounce this. You go by the name of Kenny Cosmo. Please tell me if I got it right. And you want to know, do I think that Albert Wesker from Resident Evil 5 versus Palpatine would be a good analysis? If not, would they make good allies or potential rivals? No, that would not really be a good analysis, because Wesker would have no defense against the Force. As powerful as Palpatine is, if you do not have the Force, you have virtually no chance of standing up against Palpatine. And the thing is, I don't think they'd make good allies, because they just have two big egos, and they're not, I wouldn't even call them rivals. Rivals is when one opponent actually has a chance to beat the other, and Wesker just has no chance of beating Palpatine, so they wouldn't even make good rivals. But as allies, no, I think Wesker's ego is so big, I don't think he could handle working under someone else who is clearly more powerful than he does, and I don't think Palpatine would really feel comfortable working with someone that he really couldn't manipulate. Both of these guys are masterful manipulators, and I don't think that Palpatine could manipulate Wesker enough to get him to work for him. Wesker feels like he needs to be the top dog, so I just don't think they would ever want to work together. And the last question of the episode comes from the Immortal Super Being. You want to know, what Stephen King monster would make an excellent final boss in Resident Evil? You know, I actually looked up a list of Stephen King monsters. I don't really know Stephen King too much, so I don't really know who would make for a good final boss. I mean, the only one that comes to mind is maybe It. I think you could, which would be weird, because why would he be attacking adults? I mean, the only moment I could think of where It could possibly come into effect is in Resident Evil 2 when you're playing as Sherry Birkin as a child. I think that, you know, it would be weird for Pennywise to be in the middle of a zombie outbreak in Raccoon City. That would be pretty weird. But yeah, I think that's like the only moment in Resident Evil I think that it would play a factor. Other than that, I can't really think of any monsters of his that are like significant enough that they would make for good final bosses that would make sense. Because you have to remember that these guys aren't fighting demons; they're fighting BOW. So these are kind of genetically engineered or abominations of creatures that went just totally crazy. So I'm not really sure how that would work. So that's basically all the questions I have for this episode. I'd like to thank all of you guys for making this episode possible. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. And make sure you get them into me before next Wednesday before I start filming this episode. And if you want a better chance of me answering them in future episodes, try to make them just a little bit more interesting instead of making them so simple. I mean, the more interesting questions I get, the longer the videos will be, but I don't mind making long episodes, because the longer episodes I make, then, well, I think the better the video will end up being. So with that out of the way, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.